Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say, it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Monday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Today's show's lineup, glad you're along for the ride, will be JC, and then we'll be joined by FloridaGators.com senior writer Scott Carter to recap what all happened when Gator sports this weekend. But first, let's go to the joined by JC. Good morning, JC. How are you?
Hey, good. Good morning. Beautiful weekend we had, and a lot of things happening right now. QB, we've got the PGA coming up this week. We've got the softball tournament in the NCAA regionals about to start. Gator baseball with one more weekend before they get their NCAAs, or rather SEC championship tournament cranked up. So a lot of good stuff, QB.
Yeah. The notes around goes to the elite. They win this weekend, so they move on. Only 8 teams left in the NCAA tournament there. As you mentioned, baseball takes 2 of 3 from the Georgia Bulldogs. They needed a sweep, in my opinion. Now they travel to play the number 1 team in America, Arkansas. I do not think Florida will be a top 8 seed, regardless of what happens from here. They're going to have to travel after the regionals if they win that. Softball. I want to talk softball here in just a second. It was very interesting last night, but as you mentioned, the PGA Championship cranks up this week, the second major of the year. But JC, I kicked your ass in golf again this week. Daniel Berger with the 3rd place finish.
Yeah.
But congratulations to Kyung Hoon Lee. KH Lee, as he goes. You like that?
It's almost as if you are literally from South Korea. You really are.
I'll tell you what, I love the South Koreans.
You do. You love them.
First win on tour. And he played tremendous golf there, which I told you was going to be pitch and putt all week long. Well, it was for sure.
Yeah, 4 rounds in the 60s. He shot 65, 65, 67, 66 yesterday. He kept the pedal to the metal on that course and just dominated it. In fact, that tournament has been dominated by Koreans the last 2 years because we had a South Korean win last year, and now we have KH Lee winning this year. That gets him now as the last entry into Kiowa Island for the PGA Championship. So a tremendous weekend for him. And his English even wasn't that bad afterwards when they interviewed him. So it's another first-time winner, QB, on the trip, or rather on the tour, and another first-time winner. The previous one was Sam Burns, and he finished his second at 22 under, only 3 strokes back. But this guy has a lot of game, and we're going to hear a lot about Sam Burns. We're going to hear a lot from Sam Burns. I have a feeling as we go forward in the next couple of years, he is a young talent who can slash the ball and really do some good things with the putter. He's going to be a name that we will see in the winner's circle again, I have a feeling, before his exemption runs out here in the next 2 years, which will continue it. So watch for Sam Burns. I'm very encouraged to see how to watch him play and to see what he can do out there. And he's just another one of these young players that have really taken on that tour. I forgot to mention also, QB, we've had some extremely good playoff hockey in the NHL playoffs last night. Tampa Bay and Miami, in Miami or Fort Lauderdale, playing the Florida Panthers. I didn't mention that, but they won 5-4, scoring 2 goals late in the 3rd period. We've had a really good playoff thus far in the NHL playoffs. It's only just begun, but we've had 3 games. All 3 games have gone into overtime, and very exciting. So congratulations, Tampa Bay, getting that first win in Fort Lauderdale, or Sunrise, I should say, against the Florida Panthers, 5-4 last night, with Braden Point scoring 2 goals there at the last 6-7 minutes of the game to pull it out.
Yep, and also the NBA playoffs start with all their play-in games this week, which I still haven't quite figured that out. I do know the Lakers have to be in the play-in portion, which is interesting. That's what happens when you sit half your team for most of the year. So I think the Nets are the favorites to win it all, but we shall see. JC, we got a text on the Titan of our text line. It comes from Daryl. Daryl says, "Good morning, guys. Hated to see the Lady Gators go down to Alabama Saturday, but love the away game looking football uniforms. Probably will see Bama in Oklahoma City." Yeah, we had to take, since we were the top seed, if everything goes to plan, you have to play 3 straight games. So they brought all 3 white jerseys that we own. And I love those uniforms as well. Speaking of softball, the Lady Gator softball goes down the SEC championship game to JC's Alabama Crimson Tide, his favorite softball team. And
God,
Montana Fouts was outstanding for Alabama. We just had a horrible first inning. A couple bloop singles, and then a routine double play ball. Charlotte Eccles just throws a little bit wide of Hannah Adams, and they scored 3 runs in the first.
Right.
But she was outstanding.
Now let me ask you, QB, do you know that when they get to Oklahoma City, when they seed these teams, do they go straight by the national seeds through the NCAA tournament committee's seeding? That happened last night, or do they jumble them up and switch them around? Because that game yesterday, even though it was just an SEC tournament game, gave Alabama a number 2 national seed and gave Florida a number 3 national seed, which puts Florida in Oklahoma.
Number 4.
Number 4. Right. It puts and I'm sorry, gives Alabama a 3 national seed, gives Florida a 4, but that puts Florida on Oklahoma's side of the bracket. And I didn't know if I can't remember if they get to Oklahoma City, once, let's say all the seeds hold true, okay, 1 through 8. If they keep them seated in that order, because if you're on Oklahoma's side of the bracket, now I know they mix them up also in between brackets, so maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I'm not. I shouldn't be concerned about that at all. I just wouldn't want to play Oklahoma before I have to.
We need to worry about getting to. You got to worry about getting to Oklahoma City.
I know. That's true.
You had 7 national seeds for the SEC, Alabama 3, Florida 4, Arkansas 6, LSU 7, Missouri at 8, the Vols at 9, and Kentucky at 14. 12 of our 14 teams made it to the NCAA tournament. South Carolina was the only team that did not. Vanderbilt does not play softball. But here's what's interesting, and I don't know if you saw this, JC, but I actually watched last night before I went to bed. I watched the selection show.
Yeah.
First of all, Duke is one of the top 16 national seeds, but they're not hosting because of, I guess, the COVID restrictions in the ACC or at Duke University, which to me is just totally ridiculous. You have, I don't know when the last time or Duke has ever been a top national 16 seed in women's softball, and they're not allowed to have the damn tournament in their own stadium. So they're going to be the top seed at the Athens region. So Georgia is not the top seed, but they are hosting. Well, it's ridiculous.
Just another example of administrators letting down teams and students and coaches, administrators who think they are smarter than everyone else. I look at that and I just have to laugh. But there are, as you said, 7 national seeds. The top 8 would be considered teams that can play as hosts in super regionals should they advance through the regional. And we have Florida. Go ahead.
Right. No, what was interesting, and I think I heard them correctly last night, is normally let's use Florida for example. They're one of the top national seeds, or either Alabama. If a top 8 seed is upset, usually that region goes to the super regional goes to a different site. I am pretty sure I heard them correct last night. No matter what happens, those 8 sites are hosting the super regionals, whether your team makes it or not.
Oh, that's ridiculous too. Another bad decision.
I could be wrong, and maybe somebody correct me, but it all has to do with, they initially picked 20 sites, then they for COVID restrictions, then they made it those 16. But I thought they said last night, no matter what happens in the regionals, that where the top 8 seeds, those sites are going to host the super regionals, whether that team that is hosting advances or not.
Again, I guess people are ignoring what we've heard from the CDC. I guess people are ignoring the fact that they've had 10,000 fans indoors for a hockey playoff game last night. I guess people are ignoring the fact that the Atlanta Braves can now put 40,000 fans in the stadium, and we're worried about 3,000 people sitting in a open air softball complex because of some restriction if you can't travel, if that's what we're actually talking about. In our region down here, we've got Baylor, South Alabama, South Florida, and Florida. Of course, South Florida and Florida will be playing at, what is it, 2?
We play at 2 o'clock on Friday.
2 o'clock on Friday on ESPNU. Win that, play the winner of Baylor, South Alabama. Win that, and you get the winner of the Georgia, Duke, Greensboro, and Western Kentucky regional. So the path is there for Florida. I mean, it couldn't be. I think this is not a very difficult path to me. I don't think Georgia's a great team. I don't think anybody in their part of the region is good. Great, I should say. And certainly Florida can handle any of these 3 that are coming in.
Well, what was interesting is, they had the cameras at different sites around the country with their girls waiting for their name to be selected. Well, the University of Washington was the last top 16 team selected. Did you see what they did? They got, when their name was announced, they just got up and walked right out of the room where they were, because the Pac-12 was very upset, JC, and Mike Candrea, the longtime Olympic coach, longtime coach for the Arizona Wildcats. I'm going to read you a quote of what he tweeted last night. He says, "It's time for the Pac-12 to address the fact that we need to self-promote our conference teams in the future so we do not have the travesty that we lived through tonight during the NCAA selection show. Our conference deserves and has earned much more respect." But it's true. The Pac-12, even though they have their own network, they get no love anymore. They used to be the queens of softball, but it has shifted to the SEC due to the SEC putting money into that sport. The SEC network does a tremendous job. I mean, think about it. Last night, JC, Beth Mowens and her whole crew that does the entire Women's College World Series was they broadcasted the SEC softball tournament. Okay, not the Big 12, not the Pac-12, but the SEC. Right. And then they did the selection show from Tuscaloosa because that's where the site of the SEC tournament was. So the Pac-12 is pissed off.
Well, listen, their commissioner has dropped the ball on that conference. I don't know how he's still there. Larry.
No, they got a new commissioner now.
Yeah,
they have a new commissioner.
Well, there's a reason for it, because that guy Larry was awful. I can't even remember his last name. That's how bad he was. But that conference has become almost as irrelevant as one could possibly be. I don't understand it. I mean, I don't understand why they are not as forward-looking, or their leadership is as bad as it is, and maybe that prompted these changes. I get it. I mean, Washington wins, let's say their regional, and then they go get beat up in Oklahoma. I mean, and they know it's coming. So I don't know. What do you think? Let me ask you this: when those girls got up and left, what do you think the biggest reason was? Because Mike Candrea said what he said, or they believe it?
Well, Mike Candrea didn't say this until after the show.
Right. So why do you think they got up and left?
Because they were pissed off. They had a really good year. And here they are, the 16th seed in the country.
And they get to play Oklahoma in the Super Regional if they win in Oklahoma.
But Michigan,
forget it.
Michigan
they're not going to win.
Michigan is going to be in their region out in
they're going to lose that.
Washington.
So it's not going to really matter. Michigan's probably going to win that.
I don't know.
But I mean, you never know. You can't say for sure one way or the other. But Michigan's a team that only lost 6 games this year. I mean, so, maybe they're really, really good. And we just, haven't paid much attention to that team. I'll tell you a team that's really turned it on, though, in softball in the SEC is Missouri. Getting that 8th seed ahead of Tennessee, or was Tennessee? I don't think Tennessee was a top. Tennessee was 9. So Missouri sneaks in there and gets a top 8 seed. We had Arkansas, LSU, Florida, Alabama. In the SEC tournament, Florida will host it next year, and Alabama hosted it this past season. SEC tournament titles, Florida has won 5. LSU has won 5. Tennessee, Auburn, and South Carolina have each won 2, and Alabama has won 6. So next year, Florida will have a chance to tie Alabama for the most SEC tournament titles.
And refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. Major lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking with JC on the Titan MR hotline.
Yeah.
We'll be joined by Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. Recap and get his thoughts on Gator Spring sports as we move forward into postseason play. Did you get to see any of the Gator baseball, JC?
I saw the first 2 wins. I did not watch yesterday. I saw that they lost, but they were ranked ninth, I thought, going into the weekend's QB. So they're not that far away from being in the top 8.
But I just don't see it happening now unless now they could, if they sweep Arkansas, we can
let me tell
bring it up again. But
hey, did you see what Missouri did to Mississippi State this weekend in Starkville? So I mean, Missouri couldn't quit scoring. They scored. If Missouri played in Starkville every weekend, they'd never lose. They swept the Bulldogs and they doubled them up twice, I think. I don't know where that came from, Missouri. And what happened to Mississippi State? A team ranked ahead of Florida. So it's not over yet. I wouldn't count Florida out yet. If they can go to Arkansas and win 2 out of 3, or maybe even 3, which is asking a lot, certainly, no question. But let's say they do, the way Missouri played at Mississippi State this weekend, weird things can happen. If Florida does that to Arkansas, I wouldn't count them out yet, QB, especially if some other teams ahead of Florida, like Mississippi State, fall flat on their face. You don't. I mean, how do you know? It's not over yet.
No, it's not. It's not, but it's a lot's got to happen. We got a couple of Facebook Lives brought to you by Mellon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. John says, Pac-12 is strong in softball, but you just never see them play like you do the SEC teams. Well, that's the SEC. I mean, that's the Pac-12's fault because they used to be the king.
Yeah, well, UCLA was. I would say UCLA used to be the king.
So was Arizona.
Yeah, and
so
Arizona
was
State.
Washington, Arizona State. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
But you don't. It's their own fault that they've fallen so far behind.
Yeah.
But yeah, the SEC is king, and the Pac-12 people are really ticked off. But Oklahoma is clearly the best team. They are loaded as usual. They've hit like 130 something home runs this year.
They do get up there and just start wailing at the ball. You got to have a pitcher, a really good pitcher. I think that Fouts kid for Alabama has a chance to do something special for them. You got to have somebody to shut the door on an offensive team like that. And, we'll see. We'll see.
Are you tired of living with chronic joint pain? There are new breakthrough treatments at QC Kinetics here in North Central Florida that not only alleviate your pain, they speed up the healing process. Schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. We'll be joined by Scott Carter about 8:30. We got JC on the Titan MR hotline. John says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, Arkansas hasn't lost a series all year long. If we just win 2 out of 3, that would be great. Well, that's true.
It would. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And again, what I saw Missouri do over the weekend gives you some hope that anything can happen. Nothing is guaranteed in baseball for sure. Florida will have its work cut out for it. And if it just ends up hosting a regional, then that's what it ends up doing. You're going to have to win something up on the road. But then again, the team that you're bracketed with, I don't know, is baseball going to do the same thing as softball and just make sure that those sites are designated as home sites?
They've already got their 20 picked out, and then they'll go down to 16. I could be wrong, but I swear I thought I heard them say that because I was like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. So, for example, I guess if somehow Florida is upset, the next, let's just say Baylor wins that, and Baylor's in our regional, right? Baylor or South Florida?
Baylor or South Florida, South Florida.
If Baylor wins the regional, I think Baylor's just got to hang out in Gainesville because I'm pretty sure the super regional has to be played in Gainesville. I could be wrong though, because I was blown away when I heard them say that last night.
These people with their decision making. Again, I don't know what is the basis for these decisions. Couldn't tell you.
JC, NFL rookie camps started up. Did you hear what Urban's doing with Travis Etienne?
He's going to put him in the slot, wide receiver.
Well, I mean, for a rookie camp, yeah. But That dude is not a wide receiver. Trust me.
Well, I mean, yeah, he probably will get back to his normal position. Robinson is their first guy, though. Isn't that the truth? Isn't James Robinson?
Yeah, but Travis Etienne is way, way better than him. I think Travis Etienne is going to be a star in the NFL. He can do so much. He is the new wave running back for the NFL. He is the Christian McCaffrey. He is the Alvin Kamara. Yeah. So, we'll see. What's interesting is, I don't know if you saw this. Remember Kelvin Benjamin, the big wide receiver, first-round pick?
Played for Carolina. Yeah,
it was from Florida State.
Right.
He's been out of the league a couple of years. The Giants signed him to come play tight end. The NFL's making it sound like tight end. There ain't nothing. But now I will say this: Kelvin Benjamin's run routes. He's a big-bodied guy. He can catch. So him transitioning to the tight end position is not that far-fetched.
It should be easier than the other guy that's getting all the press right now. But again, I don't think they've signed Tebow yet.
No, they haven't.
So everybody just kind of cool your jets here. And look, I'm not saying I don't want Tebow to be successful. I just don't know what this whole gimmick is about. I don't know how realistic it is. He's been out of the game for enough time. We've talked about it, beat this horse dead all week last week, but he's around. So we'll see how it goes. But the face of that team is the quarterback, and that's who's going to help them win more than 6.5 games, according to Vegas win total odds this year. I think they're going over 6.5, and I think it's primarily because they play in a division that I think is winnable. I mean, I know Tennessee and the Colts are going to be pretty tough, but Houston's probably the worst team in football right now. And Jacksonville's had success against Indianapolis. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I like the idea that Jacksonville could win more than 6 games this year. I do think if they're playing 17, I think they will, QB. I think they'll win more than 6. And I just think that because defensively they're not that bad.
They were horrible.
I know, but I think they've gotten better. And
they were one of the worst down defenses in the league last year.
I know. Well, they gave up halfway through the season. I just think defensively they'll get better. I think Miles Jack is a very good player. And offensively, they're definitely going to get better. I think definitely going to get better on the offensive side of the ball. So, I mean, why wouldn't they win more than 6? We'll see. I mean, if they win 4 or 5, they win 4 or 5. But if I was going to lay $10, I would say over 6.5.
That means they have to win 7, JC.
That's right. That is what it means. Okay,
I don't know if they can win. I don't know if they can win 7.
You don't think 7 and 10? You don't think 7 and 10 is possible?
I haven't seen their schedule, but all I can think of, the Houston Texans may be the worst team in the league, so they got them twice.
Yeah,
but it ain't like the Jaguars. They were one of the worst teams in the league. That's why they picked first.
That's true. Yeah, it is. Hey, QB, last night I actually watched about 30 minutes of a Major League Baseball game, and I was entertained watching the Chicago White Sox score 2 runs in the 9th inning to beat the Royals. It was fun to watch that. I don't know if I could watch and sit through 9 innings of that stuff on a Sunday night, but it was pretty good. White Sox, by the way, are in first place in their division.
I don't know if I've watched a full inning of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because I haven't either. I have not watched any NBA basketball. I did watch for the first time a playoff hockey game last night, which was extremely well played and very exciting to watch. Lots of energy. Florida and Tampa have a rivalry. It's kind of like Chicago, St. Louis, San Francisco, LA, New York, Boston. They don't like each other at all. And it's entertaining to watch. I'll tell you, playoff hockey changes your whole outlook on watching it if you like energy, if you like fast pace, and if you like aggressive playing. But Tampa Bay is the defending Cup champions. I'll be curious to see how many people are allowed into that arena, because they had half the arena full down in Sunrise, Florida, in Broward County last night. And it was electric. It was very energized. So that was the first time we had seen something like that in quite some time because of what happened last year. And hopefully it'll continue. I think it will. But Tampa's your defending Cup champion, so we'll see how that goes for them. They're healthy, and they've got all their players, so we'll see.
Yep. I got a Facebook Live brought to you by Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. John says, JC, your favorite quarterback, Greg McElroy, said that they tried Tebow at tight end with the Jets, and it didn't work out.
No. Well,
no, it did. I saw some people posting. I don't know if it was on Twitter or Facebook.
McElroy doesn't think Tebow should be doing this.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people that don't. I mean, we got to wait and see how it all plays out. I hope it does work out. I don't see how it can.
Marcus Spears flat out said there's no way he's making the team. So,
well, I agree with that, but some people disagree and will argue with you. So, we'll see. He still hasn't signed yet. Not that it means anything because they don't go to training camp and they don't have all their mini camps for another couple of weeks. So, we'll see. JC, this day in sports brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. From now until May 31st, get our preventative maintenance plan for $169. Save almost 40% off the normal cost. Also, any maintenance scheduled between now and May 31st, you will be entered to win a Nest thermostat with installation. All right, JC, on this day in sports back in 2020, that's just last year, Michael Jordan's autographed Air Nike 1 trainers from 1985, I guess this was the first ones, they sold for a record $560,000 in an online auction, pair of shoes. How about that?
Well, that's somebody with more money than they know what to do with, isn't it? I mean, I don't know what you do with a pair of shoes that some guy wore. I don't know. I don't know what you do with those.
I was speaking
use
with
a flower pot maybe or something.
I was speaking with a buddy of mine. Tom Coughlin has his golf tournament up in Jacksonville today at Sawgrass, and last night they had the auctions and stuff. What would you say in your mind a dinner? Or no, maybe it was a lunch with Herbs. So Urban, Tom Coughlin, Trevor Lawrence, and you could bring up to 4 people. So a lunch for 7. What do you think that bid went for?
200,000, 250.
Well, whoever did that is really dumb.
Okay, 100.
Well, they went for 65. I think 65,000, and they went ahead and did 2 lunches. But I was blown away with that.
People are desperate to talk to these guys for some reason. They don't want to hear it through the lens of a media member. They want to ask their own questions or hang out. I guess if you got $65,000 to spend an hour and a half with somebody, more power to you, man. I mean,
how do you know? There may be a short lunch. It may only be 30 minutes.
Yeah, even worse. But yeah, this is funny how these athletes and coaches and even ex-athletes and coaches get paid for just showing up to spend a little time.
No. They're not getting paid. It's going to the charity.
I know it's going to the charity, but you have these other guys who are getting paid just to show up. And I mean, it could go to charity. It could go to his back pocket. But in this case,
it was at a charity golf event.
Right. No, I know it's going to charity, but there are coaches out there or former coaches out there who are being paid just to show up.
Oh, yeah.
And then they can do what they want. Yeah, appearance fee is what I guess I'm saying. So appearance fees get higher and higher.
You mean people don't pay you, JC, to go to lunch with you?
As strange as that may seem, they haven't yet. But maybe I should advertise that possibility. Although I think I'll just pass. I'll pass. I've got other ways to give to charity. Believe me. It's called writing a check and sending it away.
Well, you need to go study your golfers because I won again in golf. My man Daniel
Berger, yeah. Well, like I said, PGA Championship, Kiowa Island. I'm gonna look a little harder at the roster this time.
Who's the favorite? You think DJ?
I think it has to be, right? I mean, it's either him or it's going to be, maybe. I mean, Rory played really well 2 weeks ago up there in Charlotte. Maybe he's really starting to find his game a little bit. He can beat anybody, as we know. I think we'll see one of the names that we're used to seeing win these things. But don't forget this Sam Burns guy. This kid is the real deal, man. He is a player. Sam Burns.
LSU Tiger. Tiger.
He's really good. He's really good. And he won 2 weeks ago and finished his second by himself this past week. He's going to go in there with a lot of confidence. So you just never know. But I do think it'll be somebody who has won a major before will win it this time. Yeah.
All right, JC. We'll talk to you on Wednesday on the Peachland Dentistry golf picks. Go study.
There you go. All right, brother.
All right. We're going to take our first time out of the program. We come back. We'll be joined by FloridaGators.com senior writer Scott Carter, breaking down all the sports that went on this weekend on campus. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Rap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Darshakow Insurance, Silverback Concrete Company. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Point's where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Regal Cinemas, Dave & Buster's, Nike, Palmetto Moon, Skechers, and coming summer of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and Visors Tailgate and Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. Going to now go to the Titan MR hotline. We're going to be joined by a senior writer at FloridaGators.com, Scott Carter. Good morning, Scott. How are you, my man?
Hey, Shane. Good morning, man. How's it going?
I'm doing well. I'm on location today, but I appreciate you taking time. Scott, let's start. First of all, busy weekend for Gator sports, and I want to figure out where Scott Carter was perched this weekend because I know you were covering lacrosse and baseball all at the same time. Were you going back and forth, or did you just hang out in one location?
No, I did lacrosse on Friday and baseball yesterday. Luckily, they're close enough to where I guess you could go back and forth if you wanted to. But Chris was doing lacrosse yesterday, so I stuck with baseball. And, he had the better assignment as far as the Gators because the lacrosse team won to advance to the Elite Eight. And, of course, the baseball team dropped the final game against Georgia, their weekend series. So they took 2 of 3. But yeah, it's just that time of year. It's starting to feel normal with, you're seeing more and more people out there again. And, it's been fun to see it come to an end, at least with some momentum building toward next year, with things getting back to normal.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott, let's first start with lacrosse. I don't think a lot of people follow the lacrosse program, and Amanda O'Leary's done a tremendous job. Have we ever been to the Elite Eight?
Yeah, I have. It's been a while. They've had some hiccups in the NCAA tournament the last couple of trips. I mean, back in 2012, which was just the third year of the program, they made it actually to the Final Four, but they haven't been able to get back to that Final Four since. And that's obviously they're a game away now. If they can win the next round, they'll finally be back there. This is a team that appears to be coming together at the right time. Got some good senior leadership. And Amanda O'Leary, it was an interesting matchup they had with Jacksonville on Sunday to get past this stage because they lost to Jacksonville for the first time ever back in, I guess, March. Jacksonville's always been that midweek opponent the Gators have to kind of beat up on before one of their conference opponents comes to town. Well, Jacksonville beat them earlier this year over there in Jacksonville, and the rematch was Sunday here at UF, and the Gators really took care of business from the start, won it easily, and now they're going to the Elite Eight. So we'll see. This is the team that you just didn't really know, Shane, what kind of team they were going to be, especially with everything that's happened over the last year, missing out last year. But they seem to be headed in the right direction.
So who are they facing? I haven't even seen who we're playing yet.
Now you testing me because see, Chris had this. I was ready to talk about Florida Arkansas baseball. So
well, we're going to talk about that too, but I can't find it anywhere. So
that's a good question because I'll look it up.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but one of our listeners may know.
I should know that, right?
Yeah. I'll find one game away from going to the Final Four. And what's interesting is, lacrosse is so strange because we don't play in the SEC. There is no SEC league. It's us and Vanderbilt. Now, does Vanderbilt play in the American Athletic Conference as well?
Yeah, it's a weird setup, man, with those conferences. And, the Gators have bounced around from the Big East, the AAC, to another one. And they've dominated the conference, but it's hard to kind of get your head around if you're comparing it to the rest of the league.
Yeah, John says here on Facebook Live, I wish I knew more about lacrosse since the Gators are so good. Yeah, I know nothing about lacrosse. I'm not ashamed to say it. It's a great sport, and they've done a really good job building.
Well, the thing is that, it's action-packed, and I'm like you guys. I didn't know a lot about it when I first started covering it, but it's, they have great athletes, and most of the players are from up north, in that hotbed of lacrosse in Maryland and Virginia, Pennsylvania, but with Jacksonville and the Gators, they've expanded it to down here some, so you're seeing more participation in the sport across the state now.
Yep. At Chris Storing Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Storing Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking with FloridaGators.com senior writer Scott Carter on the Titan Lamar highlight. All right, let's talk baseball. I was hoping for the sweep. I was telling JC, I'm not sure Florida can be a top 8 seed now. Now, maybe if they sweep Arkansas, maybe we can talk, but I think it's going to be difficult. Just your thoughts on the series against Georgia. Did we need that sweep to stay in the hunt of possibly being a top 8 seed?
Well, I think it was important if they had been able to win that one, Shane. It's going to be hard. I mean, it's not out of the question. I'm kind of leaning toward where you are. I think they might need to go out to Arkansas and sweep that one. But there's a lot to be played before then. So, all these teams are jockeying for position, and it's real close. I mean, you look at the SEC with Arkansas and obviously Vanderbilt and Tennessee and Florida. I mean, they're all within a game and a half of each other. So a lot's going to be determined this week, I think, for the Gators. I mean, the best opportunity they have to get one of those national seeds is to go out in Arkansas. You got to at least win 2 or 3. I think probably got to sweep. All that's possible, but Sunday against Georgia, Georgia got to Franco Alamon early with a couple of home runs, and the Gators just never really responded. They had some windows of opportunity, but they left. I think they had 12 guys left on base through, I think, 7 innings. So they just missed a lot of opportunities. So you know how this works. I mean, baseball is the best team doesn't always win in the postseason. So as long as you're playing well, once it starts, you got a chance. And I think the Gators are certainly in that mix. They've been playing their best ball over the last 20. They're 15-5. And yesterday was one of the few games during that run where they didn't really produce offensively. They'd been averaging 7 runs a game in their 15 wins over that span until yesterday. Only came up with 1.
Yeah, talk a little bit about Judd Fabian. I mean, he's on a tear, and he's quietly hit 20 home runs, and only a handful of guys have ever done that for the Gators.
Yeah, you knew that Judd Fabian, I mean, he's their top pro prospect at the start of the season. A lot of talk about maybe him being a top 10 pick in the amateur draft this summer. He hasn't disappointed. He's had some, ebbs and flows to his season. He started hot and then went into a real cold spell, and now he's hot again. And, he became, the 5th player, Shane, in school history to hit 20 or more home runs in a season. Guys like Matt Laporta, Brad Wilkerson, Ryan Shilley, and Jonathan India are the other 4. So anytime you join those 4, you're doing something right. And he's going to be a large part of whatever the Gators do in the postseason. I mean, he carries that lineup to a large degree. Him and Nathan Hickey, and when he's hot, it just makes everybody else better. And he's a great player to watch because not only does he have the power that you're seeing, I mean, he's as good of a defensive center fielder as there is in college baseball. And it's fun to watch him make some of those plays that no one else on the team can make. So he's certainly doing nothing to hurt his chances in that draft at this point.
Yeah, when you look at this pitching staff, Scott, in your mind, do you think when you look at the entire picture of the entire season, you think Hunter Barco's been our best pitcher all year long?
You can make the case. He's certainly been the most consistent. I mean, he's held down, that Sunday spot until they flipped him around this past weekend against Georgia, moved him ahead a day with Alamon going on Sunday. But I think Barco, with everything that's been going on with Mace and Leftwich and Alamon and the kind of musical chairs Sully has been playing there, you needed someone to stabilize that rotation. And I think early on when they were still trying to find the identity of the team, if you will, or figure out some of those ways to use those guys the best, I think Barco was the one who provided that stability and consistency. And, although Mace and Leftwich get talked about the most, I mean, Barco is another great arm. He's a left-hander, in the 90s, has some good off-speed stuff. So he's another one of those guys that Sully continues to find and pumps them in here and pumps them out into the pros. And I think he's still going to get better too. That's the best part about it if you're a Gators fan.
Yeah, the final series of the year is coming to an end. Scott, do you think? I mean, I know Gator Nation is a little disappointed in the way the season's gone, but the SEC is so strong in baseball. But I mean, do you sense anything from Sully or the coaching staff that the season hasn't gone as the way they had as expected?
I mean, I think the sense around there lately has been a lot more optimistic. I just think it's a long season, and you got a group of guys who the expectations were so high, as we've seen for this program in the past, and I think they were unrealistic, maybe in a little way. I mean, it was all based on last season, 17 games. They won the first 16-1, ranked number 1. Season gets canceled, so automatically, with all the talent coming back, people are going to pencil Florida into number 1 in the preseason. But it's all a new season, a new game once that first pitch is thrown, and guys had to get back in the playing shape. Sully had to find new wrinkles to use, new ways to use guys, and I think just they like where they are. I mean, I've always told people this, Shane, when I've been around the program now for a decade, and they've had some great teams, and I've been to Omaha 6 times with them, and whenever people ask me, okay, which team would I have thought would have won it, I would have probably said the 2011 or 12 team. The 2017 team that actually won it is probably the one I'd have ranked 6 on my list. But yet they got hot at the right time. They got great pitching. And I think the potential there is for this team to do that. You have the players, but it's all a matter of can they produce when the stage is the biggest. So I think we're all just waiting to see that time. I think they've earned some, I think, more respect here in the last month, though, with the way they have turned it around since that Sunday comeback at Tennessee.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this week unfolds with Arkansas. And then, usually the SEC baseball tournament doesn't really, I don't say it doesn't matter because everybody's getting ready for the regionals and super regionals. But, I think there may be a lot riding on seedings and those type things in Hoover this year.
Yeah, no doubt. I think this is, with the uncertainty and with just the different format this year due to the COVID situation, I think every win is going to be crucial up there for those programs trying to get one of those home field advantages in the regionals. That includes the Gators. So, they've had success in this tournament before. They've been quick out. So and the competition, I mean, it's going to be fun just from a competitive standpoint and watching high quality baseball. I mean, it's definitely the premier college tournament in the country. You're looking at the SEC being loaded this year. It's going to be a good challenge for whoever wins that. But most definitely, I think, like we talked about this week, going out to Arkansas for Florida and trying to sweep that thing. I think the more they can do in Hoover, certainly the better for their hosting rights, come once the NCAA tournament starts.
Yep. Switching gears a little bit to softball, they come out. They're the top 4 seed, national 4 seed in the NCAA tournament, losing the SEC tournament game to Alabama. Just a bad first inning. Other than that, it was about what you usually expect from Florida and Alabama. Scott, I was talking to JC about this, and you may correct me if I'm wrong. Since Florida is a top 8 seed, so that means they host if they go to the super regionals. But I could have sworn last night they said that regardless of what happens in those regionals, that those 8 sites are hosting the super regionals no matter what. Did I hear that wrong?
I think that's the way it is to my knowledge. You got me. Again, I haven't been diving into that side of things as much as normal, but I think that is the way it's working. Which is,
because normally, I think it has something to do with COVID. Because normally, like if Florida were to be upset, let's say by Baylor, Baylor may have to travel to a different region for the super regional or whatever. But I thought maybe I heard them wrong, and someone can correct me eventually. But no matter what happens, the super regional is going to be held in Gainesville, whether the Gators are playing in it or not. But we expect the Gators to be playing for sure. Did you see where the Pac-12 is extremely upset with how the NCAA tournament unfolded with the seedings and how the love is going to the SEC now?
Well, that's the Pac-12. Obviously, they're trying to reestablish, I think, some identity nationally. You saw them hire a new commissioner. They really went off in a different direction by hiring a guy who has a lot of ties to Vegas, maybe going to try to ride that future of college athletics that way. I think it just, to me, Shane, it's just the way the world's evolved the last decade. I mean, the SEC has established itself as the premier conference. And I think the Pac-12, whether it's just from a standpoint of them they haven't won a lot of national championships in sports, in the major sports in football, but men's basketball lately. So that's set them behind some. And then I think just with what's happened over the last 14, 15 months, I mean, they really kind of stayed still while the SEC was trying to find a way to make things happen in a COVID year. I think the SEC led the forefront there. So, I understand. I guess if you're in the Pac-12, you kind of feel like you have fallen behind a little bit because I think they really have. But can they make up some of that ground? Obviously, they hired this new commissioner who's, I'm sure, going to bring maybe a different approach there. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but they certainly went outside the box, I think, there.
Yeah. Last thing for you, Scott, here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law. Johnny asked, Scott, do you like the baseball tournament in Hoover, or would you like to see it rotate among the SEC ballparks?
I kind of would like to see it rotate. I mean, I've always been one of those, I'd just like to see things move around. There's nothing at all wrong with Hoover. I think it's a nice place to host a tournament. But I think I just enjoy when it's, whether it's on campus or even if it was at different neutral sites, maybe moving it to like a Nashville, their minor league park once in a while, or, another SEC city with a ballpark that could host it. I just like to see for the, I guess, more or less for variety for any other reason. But I haven't heard of anything like that happening in the future. I mean, I don't know.
So we do know who the Gators lacrosse team is playing in the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
They're playing the Syracuse Lady Orange.
Yeah, which I finally found that after stumbling about on my computer for a minute or so, trying to delay you. But yes, which brings up an interesting point because I referred back to that 2012 time they ran to the Final Four, and they played Syracuse in that match, and they were winning, and they scored a goal that put them up, but they did the old stick check, which I didn't even know what they were doing at the time. I was there. It was in Stony Brook, New York, and the Gators scored this goal that the ref said the stick was too long or the net was too long, so they took it away, and Syracuse ends up winning 14-13. So there's some history there, Shane.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. Well, that's interesting because I didn't even know that. I got to start following more lacrosse. Those girls put a lot of time in it, and we wish them a lot of luck. Well, Scott, appreciate you taking the time to join the program, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Have a good one.
Yep. That's Scott Carter. Join us on the Titan MR Hotline. Going to take our final time out on this Monday edition. We come back, we'll wrap it up.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Harder Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Looking for all type of restaurant people, managers, servers, bartenders, hosts, cooks, dishwashers, bussers. If you think you're good in the restaurant business, then give us a call.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill job fair is open now through May 15th. All you have to do is go to spurriersdraft.com and fill out an application.
We're looking for the good team members, and we're looking for people with a wonderful attitude that can make Spurrier's Gridiron Grill the best we can possibly be. To apply, go to spurriersdraft.com.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Center State Bank is becoming South State Bank, but we still put business first. We understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. South State will still have 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, member FDIC. I want to thank JC and Scott Carter for joining us on the Titan MR Hotline. Make sure you follow and like us on Facebook and YouTube. You can listen to us on 30 digital platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and many, many more. Also want to welcome one of our new sponsors, Silverback Concrete. If you have any concrete needs, look them up on the website, silverbackconcrete.co. Today's show is a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe out there, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.